a sweet treats keychain, and the sweetest of poems that a friend got for me in New York. The friends I've made out here have been so special. It's week 20 on the Appalachian Trail, and we are finishing up the last little bit of Connecticut, and we are headed into Massachusetts.
So last night we hiked into the limestone something shelter. I don't know. It's in Connecticut, and it's like half a mile blue blaze. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a steep descent down into hell, and the climb up this morning was even worse. This mosquitoes just swarmed. I had my full rain gear on so they wouldn't bite me. Yeah, and I went to bed feeling worse last night, and then I woke up, and if you can tell, I have another sinus infection. My second one on trail. Yay! Thought the one in the Smokies was the worst. Can confirm that the humidity and heat feel worse than the freezing rain. So yeah. So we're coming up on a town in a little bit that's not far from trail. So we're gonna try and run in really quick and see if maybe, just maybe, they have a neti pot so that I can get rid of this. So I can not feel like garbage while being eaten alive. I can just be eaten alive by the mosquitoes. So good news is we cross into Massachusetts today, and I keep hoping that maybe when we cross into a different state line that the mosquitoes will magically disappear. I don't think that's the case, but I'm gonna keep hoping because they're gonna make me have a major meltdown today since I really don't feel good. So yay. I am grateful for small towns and their tiny general stores.
Even though it was a little bit of a walk-off trail, Barbie and I were able to walk into Salisbury, Connecticut, find the general store, and they luckily had a neti pot for me to grab and to do the thing to my nose.
Bear Mountain, our second Bear Mountain of the trail. You are beautiful. And your breeze is lovely. I'm loving the breeze. We made it to Massachusetts! Another state down! Let's go. I was hoping when we crossed the state line there'd be no more mosquitoes. They're still here. Damn. But excited to cross another line.
Although I was sad that the bugs weren't gone, I was really excited to be in Massachusetts because upon crossing the state line, we were in one of the prettiest sections of trail that we had been in, and I honestly wished we could have spent more time through this section. And we probably would have spent more time in this spot, except that I had made plans at the end of the week to meet up with my college roommate who lived in Massachusetts, and I was so excited to see her, and we had to meet her on time, so that meant that we had to keep moving. But don't worry, this spot is on my list to go back and visit one day and to really savor these absolutely stunning waterfalls and the creek that runs through here. The next section of trail was equally as beautiful as we followed the trail along the edge of a mountain and were able to see these absolutely stunning and panoramic views. It is amazing to me how quickly the trail changes and all of the different things that we get to enjoy in the span of just a few miles. Even though I was enjoying the absolutely stunning views and the beauty of the trail, I still wasn't feeling 100%, but I was trying to make the best of it and still soak every moment in that I could. Because I was never going to get moments like these back, and I really just wanted to enjoy this moment where I was at.
Who wants to eat rocks for breakfast? This is steeper than it looks. That climb was exhausting. You can see how my hair is literally sticking to me, and I could wring out my shirt. But yay, we made it to the top.
Even though out on the trail you're more present than you are in real life, it still all feels like it goes by too fast, and you start to wonder where the days have gone and why it all seems to be going by so fast. because even on the days when I'm sick with a sinus infection and I have sweat dripping down my body and mosquitoes eating me alive, I know that when I go back to reality, I will miss these moments on the trail and everything that it gave me. This trail is so magical, and I feel so lucky for every moment I get to enjoy out here. The thing I was really loving about New England is that one second you were in a very populated town and area, and the next you were wandering through the woods and all by yourself. I can't confirm if this was corn, but it looked a lot like corn, and for some reason I just didn't expect to see that kind of crop in the middle of Massachusetts. And then right before we got into Great Barrington, we were surprised with this wonderful trail magic that had so much food, and we were just savoring it all. It's still so amazing to me, and I'm always so grateful for the trail angels that come out and provide all of this amazingness. We then arrived in Great Barrington, where we were going to stay for the night, and since we had gotten there a little bit earlier in the afternoon, we know that I went and did some exploring, because there is very few things that I like more than exploring a new little small town, and Great Barrington was full of wonderful little things, like a great art supply store. They had pastries, they had a coffee shop. It was full of all my favorite things, and I was so excited that we had the time to explore. For what seemed like a small town, Great Barrington really had so much to explore, and even though I wasn't feeling 100%, it was so worth it to walk around. And it was here in Great Barrington that I enjoyed one of my favorite treats from the SoCo Creamery. This was a blueberry, lavender, and then I put chocolate chips on it, ice cream, and it was so good. And I still think about how delicious this ice cream was, and I hope to one day make it back to Great Barrington so that I can enjoy a few more licks of it. After spending the night in an overpriced motel that we were grateful to be in so that I could hopefully get some good sleep from a bed, the next morning we did a few little small adventures, like going to a cute little coffee shop called Fuel, and then we went to another little pastry place before we packed up and headed out of Great Barrington. It was especially hard when I wasn't feeling 100% to leave town, when all I wanted to do was like cozy up in bed and watch TV all day. But I knew the trail was calling again. But this matcha and this yummy, delicious scone did give me a little bit of extra energy to motivate me to get back out on the trail. But we did take a few extra moments here so that I could sit and write postcards, because if you haven't heard yet, I wrote postcards to my mom from every town that we stopped in, and Great Barrington was no exception, and I was very behind on sending postcards because when you're spending most of your time hiking, you don't really sit down to write very often.
Look at that cheesecake, oh my gosh.
Although these pastries looked absolutely mouth-watering and delicious, I can't say I will dream about mine. But maybe I just picked the wrong thing that morning, or maybe I just wasn't feeling very good enough to enjoy it. It was time to say goodbye to town, and we were back on the trail. I wasn't back to 100% yet, but after a night in a bed, I was definitely feeling a little bit better, and I was especially feeling better when we came across this adorable little trail stand with a fridge inside that was full of ice cream.
Oh, look at that ice cream and
Look at all
popsicles.
the popsicles and ice cream. This is awesome.
Trail angels, we love you.
It's a good day today, because it's Cookie Lady Day.
I had been hearing about the iconic Cookie Lady since before I ever stepped foot on trail, and being as my trail name was Treats, we know that I couldn't resist walking off the trail and going to meet and see and enjoy the cookies from the Cookie Lady. Plus, as a hiker, you know that we very rarely ever pass up the kindness of free and delicious food. It was also very tempting to pick our own blueberries, but it was a super hot day, and again, we were trying to meet my friend at the end of the week. Once we got to Blueberry Hill, we sat down, relaxed, and then we went to the little magical box and grabbed a few cookies. I love this handmade box and the idea of the Cookie Lady. It's just so cool, the traditions that this trail holds.
Oh my gosh, so cool. This is about
Treats was basically in treats heaven. I was in a swing, I was in a beautiful spot, and I was eating delicious cookies. We had gotten there in the late morning, and so it was still somewhat cool outside, and we were just taking in the moment of being here, of being on trail, and getting to enjoy cookies. Life is so, so sweet on the Appalachian Trail. And then to make a wonderful moment even better, we were offered blueberry lemonade, which was made from the blueberries picked on the farm here, and we just felt so incredibly lucky. But then it was time for us to head back to trail. The blueberry stand was now open, but it was time for us to get walking and keep making our way towards North Adams. I am thankful to say that hiking in Massachusetts was not like hiking in Pennsylvania, and we were not being stabbed in the feet by little rocks. Instead, we were getting to enjoy lovely swaths and stretches of trail. This section was a little bit weird because we had split off from some friends that we'd been hiking with, and we hadn't seen some of our other friends in probably a week or so, and it had just been me and Barbie for a little while. And although I loved Barbie's company, obviously, it sometimes was nice to see other fellow hikers and friends. Because as much as this trail is about being out in nature and, of course, hiking the trail, it's also about all of the wonderful people you meet out here and along the way. When the trail walked through Dalton, Massachusetts, we had to stop for some ice cream at Sweet Peas, which was right along the trail. I can't remember what flavor I got, but Barbie got this flavor that was like a blue panda or something, and it's the best Hershey's flavor of ice cream that I've ever had. And then, of course, before we got back on trail, as good thru hikers do, we packed out a sub from a local spot called Angelina's, because we have learned that when we're in town and we can pack out a sub for dinner, we do it, because again, eating non-dehydrated food is a glorious thing.
The Cheshire Cobble View.
After leaving Dalton, we weren't far from the town of Cheshire, Massachusetts.
I'm assuming that's Cheshire down there.
And of course, all I could think about with the town being named Cheshire is the Cheshire Cat.
It's a mammoth cheese. I don't know what that means, but it's a mammoth cheese.
After seeing this giant fake hunk of cheese, I did in fact look up the history behind it, and the Cheshire Mammoth cheese was actually a gift from the town of Cheshire, Massachusetts to President Thomas Jefferson, and it was a 1,235-pound hunk of cheese. And it was made as a gesture to Jefferson. Now, I'm not saying that I would have never visited the town of Cheshire, Massachusetts otherwise, but the trail definitely brought us to interesting places that I might have never seen if I hadn't been walking this lovely path. Massachusetts had some absolutely beautiful scenery, but one of my most favorite scenes was this little cabin on the water that reminded me of something that I might read or think about while reading a Henry David Thoreau book. It just felt so magical to see. And after the view, we made it to the iconic Mount Greylock.
We made it to Mount Greylock. That was a long-ass climb from Cheshire.
Once we got to the iconic Greylock, we had to go to the top and experience the view. This panoramic view was absolutely stunning, and I loved the shape of the tower. It was really unique compared to a lot of the other towers and obelisk-type monuments that we had seen beforehand on the trail. After spending some time at the tower, we walked down to the little Greylock Lodge because we had checked the weather and a pretty bad storm was coming in. And so, A, we wanted to shelter from the storm, and B, we wanted to go get some delicious food. And we enjoyed some delicious food until they kindly asked us to leave because they had a big party coming in. And they basically nicely said that we stunk. So we then, because it was storming really bad, ran to this emergency shelter that is located at Greylock, and that hikers are allowed to use in the case of the emergency. And we used it until we were kicked out of it, because right when the storm ended, which was at sunset, which is in this video that I'm showing you, the rangers came and told us that we had to get out.
Well, DCR, Massachusetts DCR, I hope you're proud of yourselves. Well, back into the woods we go at 8:15.
So the thing about Massachusetts is that you were required to camp at designated shelters and designated spots, and the fact that they had kicked us out of the shelter at 8:15 meant that we had to go hike through the night. We eventually found a spot and got up early in the morning to go meet my friend. That was her view from her rearview mirror. It was so good to see her. And then we got to explore North Adams, which is an adorable little town, and they had some really cool stuff and some good places to eat. And yeah, it was just really special to share some moments on trail with her. And she got to go for a resupply with us, which we're very grateful that she took us to the grocery store. And yeah, we basically got to spend all day with her. And I hadn't seen her in years, and we were college roommates for the entire time that I was in school. And it was super great to catch up and to share a little bit of this amazing journey with her. And then we camped in a trail angel's yard before the next day we entered into Vermont.